We're started. Hi, everybody who's listening in the future. I'm Leela. This is Naomi. We've got big asks, and we're going to talk about them.
I like big asks, and I cannot lie.
How was your week?
Good. Wow, it was a bit of a blur. It was a good week. It was a good week. Yeah.
Ditto on the blur.
A lot has happened.
Look, I have my notes, but I do not remember what your ask was last week. So tell me how that worked out.
Worked out great. Whatever it was all great. One of the big things that as I was contemplating this morning about the whole asks, and I'm recognizing I ask more than I realize I do.
Okay.
So, because one of the things that you said early on was, sometimes it's not always about the big grandiose, I'm calling in a new house, I'm calling in a new car. By the way, I'm calling in a retreat center, just so you know, because it goes beyond a house. I don't want just a house. I want a retreat center. I don't want land to have retreats. That's, if we're looking at what's your big badass goal and desire, that's it. So
I love it.
Yeah. And I've been challenged by one of my mentors to hold my first retreat in the next 4 to 5 months. And of course I'm all, but it takes a year to plan, and it takes this and it takes that. And it's like, just cut through the bullshit. So, but so we've been.
Is it going to be local?
It will be, local-ish.
Okay.
Local-ish. It's about an hour and a half drive from here.
Okay, cool. I was going to start making suggestions and stuff, but we can get back to that later.
Yeah. No, there's 3 different locations, local-ish. For this first one, it will be local because it will be a 1 day.
Got it. Yummy.
But so, yeah. And so, but it's about taking that movement towards the bigger ask, right? But so as I was thinking about that, it's like, yeah, we got these big asks, and you had brought up, and a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the fact that I asked the woman in front of me at the grocery store for the little, conveyor belt divider. And sometimes it's those little asks. And what I realized this week is I've gotten a lot better at those little asks. And I ask a lot during the week, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I need a blah, blah, blah. Can you help? Hey. And I'm recognizing, and I think it's been my time in networking organizations that has helped with that. Because the ones that I've been part of, they're a weekly thing. So they're structured so that every single week you have a different ask.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it has just helped me practice that ask muscle. Now, obviously, there are still some little asks like, ooh, can you hand me the little divider for the grocery divider thing, lady, that I don't know? Okay. There's, can I have a bag?
Right? Have a bag.
Sometimes there's those asks where it's like, I get stuck in my head, but I'm recognizing I'm much more willing to ask for support and help around some of the things I'm doing than I realized.
Okay.
And so that's a great thing. And I think there are some ways and places even within that. And I'm seeing that with some of the projects that are coming up where that's the case. An example of that is there's someone local who has a really big project that it's been being launched kind of in phases, and they have a live event, and this person came to me and said, hey, if it's not too much of an inconvenience, would you post? And I thought, oh, really? This is a perfect opportunity. Okay, it's me an opportunity to look at my own way of asking, because my first thought was, why would that be an inconvenience? This isn't a stranger. It's someone that I run in a couple of different similar circles with.
Mm-hmm.
We've I doing some projects with her, why would that be an inconvenience? Isn't that part of what we're here for as people who network together or online biz besties, that kind of thing? Aren't we here to support? Am I not here to support what you're up to, building your whole alchemical fabulousness, your area of goodness? That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Don't I want to see you succeed? Of course I'm willing to share your shit.
Right.
And it's not an inconvenience. So it was a great opportunity for me to look at, where am I thinking unconsciously often, I don't want to bother that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
What will they think of me? Fuck it. Time to ask anyway, right? So I'm definitely seeing that. And so one of the things, this is a piece I will, maybe not. I will probably be focusing more on local, but my ask that I'm going to take on, and this is probably not going to just be a 1 week, is one of the processes I do has to be done in person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually looking at creating a whole, what's that?
Is that timeline?
Yes, it's the one that you and I did, the mini, I can do across the lines because I can do this way like you and I did.
Mm-hmm.
The full breakthrough has to be done in person.
Got it.
Has to. Now the follow-up calls can be done remotely. But so my bigger focus initially will be local. But my goal is to do, my goal is to do 8 of those this year. And so I'm going to start asking, because I've got a couple people who've said, oh, I've got so-and-so who's curious, interested. And these are people I've asked to help with getting the word out because they've done them with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not producing results. So I need to take that ask bigger, is what I've decided.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yum.
And I'm looking at creating an entire weekend experience around it for those people who aren't local, who want to do it, right? And those people will get both me and they will get my husband. So you know what that half side's capable of. So
Yum, yum.
That's going to be my current focus of asking, I have a desire for more of those because you saw for yourself how the mini shifts shit.
Commercial. So I was like, hey, Naomi, what were we doing? Relationship stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm always doing relationship stuff. Because that's my favorite topic, but I don't want to teach around it. That's a whole nother story. And then she did her Naomi magic in the inside of my brain, however that worked. And weeks later, I was like, I was having headaches every day. I didn't know I was having headaches every day because they were milder than they had been. But I was still having headaches every day. And then Naomi did her thing to fix my relationship stuff. Headaches went away. Fun, wonderful side effect. I love it.
Right?
So yeah, it's magic, people. Get you some.
Get you some magic. Well, and the other thing, if I can share this about you around that call. You willing for whatever's going to come out of my mouth to come out of my mouth?
Whatever's going to come out of your mouth. Let's do it.
You also had some really big ahas for yourself around relationship.
So when something heals, it's just gone.
Oh, okay.
I might not remember what those were.
Perfect.
Feel free to enlighten us. I do know that in my current relationship, which was sparkly brand new at that moment, we were like 4 months in.
Right.
I had anxiety that I didn't know I had. So it was like background low-key anxiety. And I was just like, what? I'm nervous about this experience. What? Yeah. So I knew I'd kind of had it on like a very realistic little pedestal. It wasn't like a way up here kind of pedestal, but it was like, this is magical and delicious and better than anything I've ever had, and I want to keep it. But I wasn't aware of that background chatter of, I am sort of terrified of this going away, which is way different than this is adorable and delicious and I want to keep it. So that's gone, but the magic isn't.
Beautiful. So here you are a year later.
A year later,
because it was a year ago that we did that process. So yes, thank you for the commercial. And so that was the mini, and I want to do the full on breakthroughs, because it's just such a powerful thing, and it sets people up. It sets people up to start creating. I was going to say to reach their goals, but sometimes that goal conversation feels like a lot of bullshit. But to start really creating their life and what they want on purpose.
So can we credit, because I was doing a lot last year, but I did have the experience of a new car, a new job, consistent, stable, reliable income. And that was all following the timeline. I will say that I also did Tanya Johnson Anderson's Rebel Goddess Society. I also had some other juicy conversations, but if we're going to talk about like setting up for more juicy, awesome deliciousness, that was one of the first healings I had last year.
And I think all of the work that we do leads to what we create. It's never a one and done. It's kind of like, I don't eat broccoli once and think, thank God I'm healthy now. I get to keep eating broccoli and asparagus and beets and whatever it is that I feel my body needs. I know for you, you're like beets now.
I'm going to drink my beets and we're going to be happy. Pickle them, it's going to be wonderful.
Drink them, it's all good.
I was drinking beet lemon ginger juice at work, and my coworkers were like, what? I was like, beet juice is wonderful. They were like, okay.
Your kidneys will love you. I don't go to the gym once. I don't hire a personal trainer for one session and think, wow, look at me, I'm going to take on Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's an ongoing process. The internal work's an ongoing process. And I feel like we are starting to get off track of the asks. But that's going to be my ask. Part of why I brought that up was it's going to be my ask. Not just this week, but I've decided that I'm deciding in this moment, checking in. Yep, it's going to be, I have to see if there's that internal for me. That is going to be my ask until I have the next, the number 3 is coming up, till I have the next 3 appointments filled. That is my ask.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I love that you say that, like, it's not just a 1 week thing, because it's not necessarily about like, what are your asks for the week, but it's about like, how are you doing with this process? So for me, I did not make the videos. They're on my to-do list. This week disappeared. Like, I don't know what's with the last 2 weeks. I'm like, shit, it's Wednesday.
I know, right?
But what you said last week, where am I being unclear with my ask? Yeah. So that was my week. Like, is my communication broken? Pretty sure I was clear, but maybe I'm not.
So remind me, in human design, are you sacral response? Sacral response? Okay. So I'm going to ask it to you. Do you feel your communication is broken?
No.
Okay, so that is not a gut response. What's your gut response?
It was like, that's what I felt. Yeah, I leaned forward and it was just like, no, my communication is not broken. Well, I am an open book. Not all of my relationships are, so we'll talk about this off camera later. But that question I've been playing with, am I actually clear?
Mm-hmm.
And then as I'm playing with that one, what came up was, am I specific enough?
Ah.
And there's clear and specific, and then there is attachment. So I can be clear and specific and detached.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can be clear and specific and it has to be this way.
Right. Can I interject one thing on that?
Yeah.
And I think and it has to be this way, I think that depending on the what specifically the ask is around, I think that we can be attached and we can have requirements.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah.
two different things. It's okay to have requirements, boundaries, whatever you want to say. Standards. Yes. Those are okay. Those are different than attachment.
Yes. And thank you for that clarity. And if you would like more about that, listen to last week's call because we talked about it in great detail.
Yes.
So I have a tendency to be completely non-specific.
Sorry.
I want a car that's fun to drive.
Right?
I have a Kia Rio, a 2005 Kia Rio that never would have gone on my list, but it met a lot of the other requirements. It was free and it's reliable with its manual windows. So specific.
I have a friend who would tell you that that's actually a really good thing to have is manual windows, but that's a different story for a different day.
Meanwhile, when I'm driving down the highway with the windows halfway down and it starts raining, I'm not feeling her at all.
Crank.
Those 3 windows, though, I have to pull over to crank those up. Yeah. So, this window, no problem. The other 3, However, clarity. So I asked for a car and I got a car and I didn't want a car payment and I didn't get a car payment. And it's reliable. I love it. Every time I go outside, I know that when I put the key in the ignition and turn, it's going to start up. So what's really funny about this whole latest homicidal moment of mine is Black Panther, the movie. We were supposed to go see it opening weekend in my head. Apparently, there was a miscommunication, a lack of clarity, whatever. So as I am processing this out with my girlfriends, they're all like, are you excited about the movie? And I'm like, yes. Obviously, nobody knew I was excited about the movie but me. Which is why I said, maybe I'm not like super clear, but maybe not but, and I'm trying to think of like when I'm ever like that excited about like anything. For me, go ahead.
So perhaps it's just that you aren't as demonstrative in that as they read, because that has to do more about their map of understanding and reality of what they interpret as excitement. Yep. There are some people who this is excited and this is mad. Because that's all, and I'm not saying that's you. And I think it's a really great thing to look at. It's like, okay, where is it that I'm thinking I'm showing excitement, but ain't nobody else getting it?
Yes.
Because where else did that show up for you?
Good question. I will certainly put that in my pocket. But it certainly showed up around this movie. So it was like,
so you said it was a homicidal moment. What? Now we've got the DEA looking at us for shrooms, which are medicinal mushrooms, DEA.
Shrooms and homicide. It's going to be a wonderful series.
Holy crap.
It's like a
America's Most
conversation.
Wanted, Leela and Naomi and their big asks.
I know. A conversation with me is like any writer's search bar. Like you never know what you're gonna get in there. It's like, really, I'm not building a pipe bomb. I'm just writing a book. Um, um, I my brain like took that train. I'm waiting for it to stop. Back to the asking. So another thing that I'm realizing is that it's easier to ask when it's for other people.
Say more about that.
So this family that we're adopting for the holidays,
Yes.
I am like, people, give them cash because it is amazing to wake up on Christmas morning and have gifts under the tree, and that doesn't need to stop because you're suddenly in middle school and your parents are still broke. Like, so asking.
What about January, and what about March, and what about June, and what about months
We'll get
that
there.
don't start with December?
We'll get there.
Right.
Right now we're just we're gonna rock with Christmas and then we'll get there. So I have great ease asking for contributions for that.
Okay.
Cash and other forms, not so much.
Even for them, or just
For like, so like your infinite receiving ask,
yes.
I might not have been like doing this. I might have been like, but it's money. And I'm not offering anything. And we talked about that. I'm not offering anything.
Uh-huh.
Like, buy my shit so I can do this thing. Yes. But give me money so I can do this thing.
So if somebody had, let's just use infinite receiving as an example, because it had a dollar amount attached to it. If somebody had said, Leela, I know you really were interested in this program and you've been following Maru and all of this stuff, and so I'm gonna gift you. I'm gifting you with your membership in IR6. Would you have just been like, oh my God, how awesome is that?
Uh-huh.
But if somebody came to you and said, Leela, here's, I forget what the final price was, 7 something, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Here's 700 and some odd dollars so you can buy your way into IR6.
Ooh. That is different.
Uh-huh. So what's the difference? Because it's the same.
I know.
So what comes up for you? Where do you feel it and what comes up? Because I think this is a juicy piece.
So I feel it here.
Okay.
Front and back. Is that heart chakra?
Okay.
Wow. So what instantly comes to mind is that's not what I would choose to do with that $700 something. So I would receive the program. The cash, however, I would feel would have a different priority.
Interesting. Okay.
That is interesting. You ask great questions.
I don't know, something about the whole being a coach thing made me I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
and thank you for that.
Sure.
I like to think I do as well. So this is where I think that knowing and understanding your values and priorities comes into play with the asks. And even what you said about the specificity, I think some of that, so if you and I were just going to seem like it's out of left field, but it really isn't. If you and I were going to work on a project together, would you need to know the details first, or would you want to know the big picture first? The overarching why?
My answer was yes. Um,
Which would you need to know first?
big picture.
Okay. And then would you need to know the details, or do those not matter to you?
Some of them matter.
Okay.
I need to know how I fit and what my role is.
Got it. So, and I'm sure Bear's in the other room. He can't hear any of this, but I'm sure he's in the other room laughing his ass off. I am a detail person. The big picture, yeah, I need to know that because I need to know why we're doing something, but I want to know the details. I'm a detail person. So he laughs because I attract all these big picture people. So if you're not specific, that's a lot of why is because you're big picture. And so you stay big picture. And for people who are big picture, you have to really purposely get specific because specificity is a detail, right?
Yeah.
Does that
My
make sense?
brain is like, the pieces are tumbling into place.
Right.
So I thought 700 and whatever dollars would redo the kid's bedroom. And I have a list, like I have a notebook with bunk beds, chest of drawers, bedside table for my bedroom, really bunk beds and chest of drawers really completes their room. Like that completes the $700 because bunk beds are expensive.
You're right.
But so I have both. Like I have the vision and the details.
Okay.
I know what it's going to take to get their room together, to get the library together, and it's all written out in a nice, neat little list.
Right.
But I wouldn't ask for that. That's weird too.
Really?
Yeah. So I wouldn't go like, here's the IKEA wish list. Here's my address if you want to send the kids beds.
Really? So here's something interesting. Total devil's advocate again. That it's easier to ask for something for someone else. Aren't your kids someone else?
Well, as I was saying that, I'm like, but I might. But I would never think to ask for it because in my head it's done because I know that I am getting the money and getting the things.
Ah.
So I would think to ask for things that I can't get, which is interesting too.
Huh. This is juicy shit.
It is.
So what things can't you get? Because I get that. Because the new car's in, as you say that, it's like, yeah, a new car. I can, but just not right now. Really?
$240,000 house?
Ooh. Living in California, I'm like, where the fuck is that? Because the average house price in the area where I live is $450,000.
Well, and then there's the $399,000 house, like on the other side of town.
Ooh.
Same size.
Right? Oh my God. Yeah.
But no, Christina has more dirt. She has like an actual garden in her yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a koi pond and a hummingbird garden.
Oh my God. I'm coming to visit.
5 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, 3 stories. Yeah. I was like walking through her house going, this would be my office and this would be my studio and the clients would enter through this entrance and the kids are not allowed down here. How many oils do I have to sell to live this life you're living, Christina?
So say a little bit more about that. Certain things I can, certain things I can't. Say
so yeah, $399,000 house. Can't. So this is weird. I just paid for Lillian's trip to DC.
Okay.
I made the final payment this week.
Okay.
It's $1,100. Lucas's STEM camp
Mm-hmm.
feels like, and it's just a little bit more than that.
Do that again. Okay, we need to talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But STEM camp feels like dying, like can't.
But it's about the same amount? Didn't you say it's 1,500?
No, it's 22 for the camp,
Oh, okay.
and then there's transportation.
I don't know why I had 1,500 in my head. 22 plus transportation. What's transportation?
I haven't even figured it out yet. That's how much resistance I have. I'll figure it out this week.
Is he going to have to go by plane, train, automobile?
Possibly. I'm thinking plane.
Where is it located?
Let's find out.
Obviously not locally if he's going to have to take a plane.
Right. It's somewhere, but obviously not in this packet. I think I have to go online to find it. But there will be a plane involved.
I bet I know somebody who sells jewelry who'd do a fundraiser for you.
I bet I love it a lot.
Just saying.
Okay. I don't see it right now, but I will figure out
a plane right away.
It's a plane right away. I will figure out where the plane is going in DC, it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably looking at $300-400 for transportation. So just to be on the safe side, I'd say go high and plan for $3,000.
I'm going to calculate and then plan.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking it might need to be more than that.
Okay.
I'm not certain that the 11-year-old with anxiety can travel solo.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this family you're supporting for the holidays.
Yes.
What would it take for you? I mean, obviously your asks are your choice, but what would it take for you to get creative and ask how do I want to put this? For instance, someone who is willing to do a fundraiser for you. What would it take for you to get creative and ask your community to just say, you know what, I don't want to ask for money, and I'm looking for ways to support my son in doing this, and ask for ideas? What would that be like for you? Would that feel different than asking for money?
Oh, that would be fun. An idea party. That's what Barbara Sher calls them.
I like it.
Yeah.
An idea party.
So I'm just going to schedule the idea party and then invite people.
Does that feel different than asking for money, even though it goes to the same thing?
It does. I'm also not against running some clearings and asking for money. It's just really funny.
Yeah, because if somebody out of the blue said, hey, here's $2,200 for his camp.
Oh my God, thank you. So the same thing happened last fall with robotics. Hey, I got the robotics rates down from $150 to $50. So who wants a session by the end of the week so this kid can go to robotics? I got a cash in my PayPal or my Facebook inbox thing. Did you know you can send money via Facebook? It makes me happy. It's a weird thing, but it was miraculous. It went right.
Mark Z freaks me out. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was like, hey, one session, and instead I got cash.
Mm-hmm. What would push your boundaries and your boundaries of comfort zoneness? What would push you in and around this camp? Because the ask party, you were like, oh, that's easy, that's fun. What would push you? What would stretch you? In a way that would benefit you being stretched.
Yeah. Those individual asks, those one-to-one asks, which I'm gearing up to do. So I like to self-sabotage with sleep deprivation. I ran some clearings on that Sunday because I was over it. But what's on the list is to record Lucas opening and reading the letter, and then talk to him about, okay, so, this is going to cost X dollars, and so we're going to have to create it. And what do you think we could do to create it? And why do you really want to go? What excites you about it? And get his response on camera, and then share that with people one-to-one and ask for ideas, contributions, airline miles, whatever it takes. Are you a DC hotel owner who wants to put a mom in a hotel for a week so her kid can go to STEM camp?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Woo.
So, yeah, all that.
Nice. One of the things I have found, and I'm sure you have as well, is sometimes when we ask, ideas we have never even thought of come up. You may ask somebody that and they may be like, oh, you know what? I know such and such a, excuse me, such and such organization that helps support youth doing whatever. Who knows? I see it on our local Facebook groups. Somebody posted they took in a homeless veteran who is looking to improve their current state, and looking to work, and they do actually have a car, and they've just hit a patch of down and out, which a lot of our veterans do. And it was amazing, all the people who stepped up and said, I know this person's hiring, I know this person hires vets, I know this housing, this blah, 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 blah. Here's these organizations that will help vets. And so sometimes all it takes is, and all this person asked was, hey, I took this person in and they're looking for work. Who do you know that hires vets?
Yeah.
And it was huge, I think it was close to 100 responses in less than 24 hours.
Love it.
So, yeah, you never know what asking will do. And I love that idea, because if we see, and it's one thing for you as mom to ask, I want to send my kid to camp, and having grown up going to summer camp, for a week at a time, it was the most amazing experience for me. And yet to hear from him why. What's his what excites him about that? Who's gonna say no to that little face? Right?
I have to ADD really fast.
Yes.
So back to Naomi's commercial, one of the things that came up for me during the timeline was a commitment to being small that I made either early this lifetime or previous lifetimes. And I noticed over the last year, that clearing more and more.
Nice.
And I was able to slather some access consciousness on it a few days ago. Because they're still like lingering, like you said, you know, you don't eat the broccoli once.
If only.
But I kind of like the broccoli. But that, I think that if we had not done that, I might not be willing to do this.
Ah.
Yeah, because I get to ask people intimately, like, hey, will you support my son in this dream that he has? Because this is going to invent something that changes the world in his 7-year-old words.
And how freaking awesome is that?
Yeah, it's amazing. They amaze me. I'm not going to go into gushy mommy mode, though.
Go into gushy mama mode. So around your asks, what do you see that you might need from the specificity standpoint?
Clarity was huge. So without telling too much of my relationship's personal business, I realized that I did not have a lot of clarity. So a few things have happened over the last year that has had me going, are you fucking kidding me? Damn it. And so what I looked at was, what I always look at is, how am I culpable? What's my part?
Yeah.
Because I can only change me. Yeah. I can have the most delicious partner, and I do. He's scrumptious. I still can't change him. I can only change me. So what I realized was I was like way too in the feminine. I was way too in the surrendered, go with the flow kind of. Wait, what flow are we going with? Do we have a structure for me to flow with? Because that's also really important to me.
Sure.
And so in the last month, I have gotten delicious clarity. And the clearer I am, the better my ask. So it may not necessarily change the results, but perhaps a conversation like, I would really like to see the movie opening weekend because it's important to me. Is that gonna happen? How can we plan to make that happen?
Right.
If it doesn't happen, are you okay with me seeing it without you?
That is clarity. That is specificity. That is asking for exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we have all those pieces, and I don't think it's just big picture people who do it, but we have those pieces in our head. Well, I told you. I know someone, it's actually a relative of mine, who their spouse, it would be the kind of thing where they'd be driving and it's like, oh, there's a Dairy Queen. Uh-huh. That asshole didn't stop. Like, it's because you were making a statement. Yep, there's a Dairy Queen. Yep, there's a tree. Yep, there's a dog.
So literal listeners versus inferential listeners.
Exactly.
And literal speakers versus inferential speakers.
Yes. And
so we'll talk about this more when this wraps, which we should do soon because I have to go pick up some children and go see a movie that I was supposed to see 3 weeks ago. I don't have feelings about it. I'm not triggered at all.
Triggered. Well, and I think it's great the way you stated it. You stated every single point. I would like to see this on opening weekend. Can we make that happen? How do we make that happen? Are you interested in making that happen? And if you're not interested in making that happen, are you going to be butthurt about the fact that I'm going to go without you? And I'll go again with you, but I'm going to go see it opening weekend, because I think that communication, it really does help you determine, am I okay compromising and going a different time? My gosh, if they're going to have their undies in a bunch, all right, well, maybe I won't go opening weekend. It creates that space of coming to some sort of an agreement so that there isn't frustration on either side. You're asking for exactly what you want.
And this experience taught me that. And I think your question last week really helped.
Great.
Because I was just like,
side eye
forks and stuff.
How dare you not know?
Just with a spork.
A spork.
Yeah. So yeah, just huge clarity. I'm going to commit to getting details tonight and making video and starting sharing by tomorrow.
Awesome.
So
I'm excited to see that.
Thanks. I'm excited to make it. It was on my list for Monday morning, but somebody didn't sleep Sunday night.
Oh. I'm telling you, I keep seeing, is it something in the air, blah, 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 and I'm all over here going, spring is coming. Liver, folks, liver. Yeah. Is there something in the air? Yes, it's called spring. And it's called Love Your Liver a Little Bit. Let's transition the season. Support the liver.
What, lemons?
Lemons, limes, sour crap like that. Yep. I'm not talking Sour Patch Kids. I'm talking food.
Oh, you said sour crap. I heard sauerkraut, and I was just like, can I just say mushrooms?
Yes. If you don't like fermented veggies, but get the raw ones if you do. The pasteurized ones won't do you any good. Or make your own. But yes, sauerkraut, limes, lemons. I'd even say kumquats because they're kind of on the sour side. So yeah. And greens, dark greens, which I know that you don't do, but you could do avocados.
I eat kale.
You could eat kale. Sauerkraut, you said no to. Artichokes,
raw.
Can you do raw spinach is great. Can you do artichokes?
Maybe.
Asparagus?
Yes.
There you go. So you're getting some greens in. Avocados, great for the liver.
I'm currently drinking some celery and some kale and some other stuff. That's what I said when I drank it, but my body was like, yeah. My mouth was like,
wow. Yeah.
We're wrapping. Do we have something juicy to say at the end of this video? Because I don't.
Get your ask on.
Get your ask on.
I would say that this week a thing to contemplate is what you're talking about. Where are you being? Where can where might you be unclear in your asking? We talked about that last week, but how can you take that and create specificity and truly give yourself permission to ask for exactly what you want?
Love it. And feel free to let us know below. See you next week.